Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Journey Pitts, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Damien and Kenady Nash about the upcoming book. So let's go ahead and jump in, all right?
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of us have been following you guys on your journey for quite some time. But for everyone who might be tuning in for the first time, can you give us a little bit about who y'all are and what you do?
Thank you, Journey. So my name is Damien Nash, and this is my wife, Kenady Nash. We have a passion to do relationships right, do it God's way, and actually help other people do relationships the right way as well. I'm a life coach, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and Kenady, what about you? What are you?
I am a registered dietitian and I work for the Department of Public Health, but also I am a YouTube sensation. Just kidding. But yeah, so we just like to pour into people and, how to do relationships God's way. And so, yeah, a little bit about us.
All right, so it's no secret at this point that you guys have a new book coming out called #Completely Married, Journey to the Altar and Beyond. So can you guys give us a little rundown on what the book's about and what inspired you guys to choose this title?
Well, can I take it?
This is
Okay, that's it. Yeah. So in 2015, I wrote a book called #Completely Single, and it was a book birthed from my church. I had a lot of singles at my church asking me to pray for them, and I wrote this book, and it was pretty popular on Amazon. Fast forward into 2016, I quit my job and headed to Las Vegas, not to do anything bad, but there was a business conference out there that I wanted to go to, and me and my older brother were in a hotel room, and we was talking about life. My father just went through surgery, cancer in his colon, and they took out 11 inches of his colon, and we just talking about life and what God had for us. And in that room, I birthed a company called Completely You 365. But at the same time, I was listing out the different books that I wanted to write in the future. And Completely Married, or #Completely Married, was birthed in that room. And because I believed that God wanted me to be married, and then Kennedy comes along and I marry her. But during the process of engagement, we just started to write a book.
So this is actually, like you said, a project that we've been working on when we were dating. So back in 2018, about April or May, and it was just a vision that we had, and it was crazy because this was his plan from the past, but it was something that God had stirred in me as well. So when we came together, it was something that was just seamlessly developed.
So what actually inspired you guys to sit down and really write this book, make it happen?
Yeah, so as we were dating, we realized there wasn't really a book like this out at the time. And we have a lot of single books and marriage books, but not a lot of books that have the principles and the steps to date God's way in a God-honoring way. We also had so many mentors that just poured wisdom into us throughout our journey and dating into marriage that we were like, man, we need to write this down in the book and share it to everyone in the world. So
I think that's definitely something that a lot of people are looking for right now, especially. But Damien, can you tell me a little bit about how this relationship book is different from other ones like it?
First of all, we want to say to the world that we're not writing a book to compete with anybody, right? Our book is different because we're different. We all have a testimony, and we all have a book in heaven for us. But our book is different because of the first chapter. I've heard so many talks on relationship. My father was a marriage counselor, so he talked about relationships. Pastors and people like us, influencers, if you will, talk about relationships. But when it came to the accountability part, it never was broken down. People were frustrated because they said, okay, I'm gonna have this accountability, but what does that mean? And so I was talking to one of my private readers. We have people who are reading the book right now, and they said they never read anything like that, especially on accountability and people who actually break it down like we do. So one of the things that they said was, after reading your book, you will not have an excuse anymore to go through your relationship. So that's why our book is different.
Well, we talked a little bit about the starting process, what inspired it, but let's talk about the whole writing process. What were some challenges that you guys had to overcome while writing the book?
I know transparency as well was one of the major things. Just, yes, we have a lot of wisdom that's packed in it, but it's also a lot of testimonies and experiences that we face. And so that was one of the challenging ones, just to be vulnerable and open, because we don't know how many people are going to read this book. And so that's one thing that was challenging. What about you?
Writing is not challenging anymore for me. I've been writing for several years. But the two things that challenged me in this process was having a writing partner. And so encouraging the other person to write and to finish was kind of challenging, but it was a good process to go into. But the other thing I believe was the cover. The cover design was probably the most challenging, but I think we grew as a couple and we leaned in with God going through it. Because so the first couple of drafts were not what we thought they would be, because we was going through the process. And that's the thing, it's a process, always a process. But as you can see, the cover is beautiful. Our designer is an award-winning designer, and he taught me so much about the process. And so that was the two things that I learned.
I know, wanting to chime in on his first one, that was a huge challenge, just because we have two different writing techniques. His first book, #Completely Single, he wrote in 10 days. Wow. I'm a person that's like, I have to vomit my words out on the paper, but it's like in there, I just have to put it in words. And so, just having those two different writing styles and techniques was definitely a challenge.
So now that the book is done, what are your guys' favorite chapters of the book?
What's yours?
I know this is cliche. Every chapter is like probably one of my favorites, but if I had to choose, I'd probably say maybe How to Prepare to Be a Wife. And this one, we have a How to Prepare to Be a Husband that he wrote exclusively, and How to Prepare to Be a Wife is what I wrote exclusively. And the reason why I said it's one of my favorite is because it's the one that I had to search the Lord for the wisdom in the words more than any other chapter. And it was something that he was working in me, and so he gave me literally the words to write in that. And so that's one of my favorite chapters. Not saying that God didn't show us, in all the other chapters, but it brought me closer in hearing from the Lord. So.
My favorite chapter, I like accountability, I like boundary, I like vision.
All of them.
I like managing the other. Number 10, which was the beauty of covenant. I think that one was, like Kennedy said, I had to search it and go down. And what I did in that chapter was look at Exodus 19. And I saw something, an engagement period where Moses and the people of God were like going back and forth. And we just break down covenant and why covenant is so important. And I hope people, dive in and just read that over and over and get it into their souls, because I believe that chapter just sets that book apart.
You talked a lot about transparency, so I'm sure like this rawness that you were talking about that went into these chapters were really, shine through and become apparent to all the readers.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kennedy, tell me a little bit about who this book is for. Like, who do you think will get the most out of it?
Wow, so that's a great question. Of course, the book is for someone who is in a relationship or, engaged and headed to marriage. but it's also for the singles who have a desire for that. We think getting all the knowledge before you actually walk into it will save you from a lot of trauma, heartache, and mistakes. But even also for the married couples, like Damien said, we have a couple of, a handful of people that are reading the book to give an honest review. A lot of them are married couples, and they're like, I'm doing some of the things that y'all said in this book right now. Like, we're implementing this in our marriage. Or, some people might say, man, I wish I read this book before marriage. Like, you all really have what it needs or what it takes to have a successful marriage. And so I think it's for anyone in between that's just wanting a healthy, godly marriage.
It sounds like there's definitely something that anybody can take away from this book.
Oh, yes.
But Damien, what do you hope that your readers will take away after reading this book?
Great question, Journey. One of the things that we hope is to continue to live a pure, holy, and righteous life. When me and Kenady came together, that word purity was just laying on our hearts. And that's one of the themes that goes throughout the book, and that's why the book is white itself, because we really want you to get the purity, the holiness of what a covenant looks like, what a marriage should look like, and what God intended for marriage to look like.
So now that you guys got me so excited for this book, and I'm sure everyone watching is just as excited, give us the details. When is it coming out? Where can we get it? Like, we gotta know.
We are newlyweds, and our 1-year anniversary is September 22nd. And we said, what better gift that we can give our marriage, each other, than to have our first book together debut. So the book will be available September 22nd, which is a Tuesday, on Amazon. And it is also available right now for pre-order, the ebook, at a discounted rate until September 22nd. And then the hard copy and the ebook will be available on ebook, as well as Kobo.
Yes.
And
I think Kobo distributed throughout, so it's going to be on a lot of platforms, and you do not have an excuse not to get this book.
Yeah.
All right, so all the links to get this book will be put in the description if you guys want to click from there. Now that this book is all done, September 22nd, it's going to be officially released. Last question, what is next for you guys?
What's next? Well, we're working on the curriculum for the book, so it's going to be a digital product with the book, and it's all encompassing for ultimate learning. Kenady has another book inside of her, so we're just praying for that book as well. But just more opportunities to speak. We're looking for more opportunities to speak and do interviews and just tell people and spread the message.
Definitely more YouTube videos, maybe even a podcast, who knows. But also, like we mentioned before, we have a desire for people to be healthy individuals, and not just relationships, but also other ways, like having more life coaching opportunities for him. I plan to launch something in regards to dietetics, and so helping people be healthy in the body so they can be healthy spiritually, physically, in relationships, and all that stuff. So we have a lot.
We just want to take over the whole family, from birth all the way to the grandma and grandpa.
Breastfeeding and all that.
Are there any last things that you guys want to tell us before we go?
One of the reasons why we wrote the book is to help people help other couples. So we want to give a charge to other couples who are feeling isolated as a couple and not having purpose, to take somebody under your wing. Get the book first, read it, but take somebody under your wing and pour into them. Give them your testimony, give them your advice, because we need to start having more couples disciple other couples.
It's a charge that Christ has given us to go and make disciples. And what better way to go make married disciples, to have healthy families so we can have healthy communities, so we can have a healthy world. And so that's what this book, the last chapter, is about, is really like you said, going and making more disciples in married couples, because we need more healthy, godly marriages, because marriage is under attack,
Yes.
as we see.
Well, thank you guys so much for sitting down with me and talking a little bit about your new book. Don't forget, guys, September 22nd, you can get hashtag completely married. The links will be in the description. If you guys want to stay connected, feel free to visit DamienandKenady.com. You could also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Throw some comments down there. share. And also stay tuned for their curriculum that will be coming out not too far from now.
And I just want to say thank you, Journey, which I forgot to mention. This is my younger sister. So
Miss
if anyone
Kitts.
caught like, man, they look like they can be related. We are. This is blood right here. And so thank you so much for just taking the time to interview us. And we just really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Take care and God bless.